Good evening, family. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the Central. Good evening on the East Coast, family. How y'all doing this Monday evening? My apologies for being late. ADOS life is happening. Come on in. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to file in. I thank you for your time and attention tonight. I won't be long, family. We've got to talk about the importance of a SuperPAC. How it works, who's managing it, all the oversight, and why reparations doesn't get done without a SuperPAC. File on in, start your watch parties. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes while I set things up on my own watch party. Thank you for joining me. What's up, Jamar? I see you. Thank you for joining the live. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes, just trying to get it going over here. Thank you for your patience. You're listening to the awesome sounds of my brother, my real brother, my blood brother, Robert Sine. Check him out on YouTube. He's powerfully talented. So grateful that he allows me the privilege of using his music on my show. Enjoy, family. File on in, family. We've got to talk. File on in, family. We got to talk. All right, family. Thank you so much for joining the live. Good evening, all the way around. As many of you know, I am Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest at the Friends of ADOS TV channel, giving you ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations. I've been doing this for about 4 months now so that we could become familiar with each other, so that we could become family. And that's due in large part to the fact that most of us know each other through the social media space. Quite a few of us had the luxury of meeting at the inaugural conference last October in Kentucky. But there are still many of my extended ADOS family that I've yet to meet that is in this movement. I had to do the special edition. Tara Perry can't be with us tonight. We're going to have to reschedule her. But after listening to one of two Antonio Moore's lives yesterday, I realized that there was some misunderstanding surrounding the Friends of ADOS SuperPAC. He didn't name it Friends of ADOS SuperPAC. I don't know of any other SuperPACs out there, but I wanted to talk to you guys about why we need a SuperPAC, why Marlon Aldridge and I formed the SuperPAC last year around July, and why we don't get reparations without it, and why it's imperative to understand that although we may not have wealth, we're not broke, busted, and disgusted, okay? Antonio Moore did a segment about Blue Ivy's Popeye's chicken outfits. I guess there's some type of workout gear or something, selling out. And I have been a student of Yvette Carnell since around 2014. Some of you know this, but many of you don't. So let me reacquaint you with who I am, my background, so you can understand that I'm more than capable of galvanizing people around support for a very much needed super PAC. I started studying with Yvette Carnell back in 2014 after 8 years of Obama, and realizing that I had voted for him for 2 terms and ADOS was still on the bottom. Now, I don't know your reasons for voting for him, but mine was to help ADOS specifically, because we don't need status quo politics. We need transformational politics. ADOS needs an advantage. So I started studying with Yvette, and it just made a lot of sense to me, as it did many of you. We started studying, and we realized that we were seeking solutions from Yvette. What's the solution? Many of us grew weary of the constant, dreaded data and just feeling, woe is me, like helpless, right? Like we felt like our hands were tied, that this was a condition that we would have to face until extinction. And so it wasn't until after Kamala announced that she was running for the presidency, and Yvette had already exposed Kamala from the Black political show, Breaking Brown, that I realized I had to do something, right? Like many of you. It is not okay. Like I grew up with the love of Black people from my father. I grew up with the love of myself. And I knew that what I was learning under Yvette and then Antonio was disturbing in the seat of my soul. And I, like many of you, knew something was wrong because I felt it. I was earning about $120K with a major bank out here, and they replaced us with Hispanics. It cost 2 of my very dear friends' lives, and I decided to resign so that I could live, because my daughter was 5 years old and embarking on kindergarten. So many of us came together, right? We came together under Yvette's political education, under Antonio Moore's data, and we decided we need to get to doing something or we are finished as a people. If we do not make ADOS first for a change and get everybody else off the tit, it was going to be a wrap for our people. So I formed ADOS SoCal. Chris and Reggie, Chris from Sacramento and Reggie from Boston, introduced me to Tiffany from LA ADOS. And together, she, myself, and Friday Jones formed ADOS SoCal. That was around after Juneteenth. Okay. And we were doing some amazing work together until we hit a bump in the road. Yes, we did. We're all new at this. You know, all we have is our passion. And we had a difference of opinion about how the organization should be led. And so we split. I took over ADOS SoCal. They went on to create ADOS Los Angeles. And I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like it hasn't been problematic on many levels from how things fell apart, but I'm not going to live there. Why? Because this fight is about ADOS reparations and a Black agenda, not the little infighting that goes on. And then we've got outside agents of chaos that are trying to undermine the ADOS movement. So, you know, family, when you become an adult of a particular age, you put the nonsense down to get the work done. And the work for me has always been ADOS. If you've been following me for a few months, you've come to understand. I've been on Foxhole, and my passion for ADOS has never wavered. I don't back down off of the tough conversation. I don't fail to call people out. Anywho, Marlon Aldridge, who graduated from my alma mater in Dayton, Ohio, saw all of the activities surrounding the ADOS movement. Now, all of this happened after Shireen Mitchell went on with her big fat mouth onto the Joy Ann Reid morning show and started calling us Russian bots. That's when I formed ADOS SoCal collectively with Tiffany and Friday. That is what, for me, started the movement. People formed their own chapters throughout the country at different times, but it really happened for me after Juneteenth. Well, Marlon Aldridge it went to my alma mater in Dayton, Ohio, which is where I'm from. He graduated a couple years ahead of me. And he loved the activity that was happening with the ADOS movement. And he wanted to learn more. And I turned him on to more because he was seeing all the activity in my feed. And so he sought me out for more information. And as a result, he saw something he couldn't recreate in Dayton, which was a nationwide affinity for the ADOS movement. So he said, we need infrastructure. We need to get organized. And we need a war chest. Because none of this happens without being able to support our candidates that are running on every level. We're trying to move this ADOS movement beyond righteous outrage. Does that make sense, family? It's not enough to continue to cry and wail and gnash our teeth. These other groups have money. I'm talking in the millions. This is what gave birth to the Friends of ADOS SuperPAC. And we've got to get to a place, family, where we learn to trust one another. Because every time we ask Yvette, what's the solution? She said we were the solution. So Marlon Aldridge and I formed the SuperPAC last year. We've been working on modeling the bylaws after the Republican Women's Organization that's got $1 bazillion in their war chest. We have looked at the NAACP and looked at what they charge for memberships, family. We're not just doing this out of the side of our necks, okay? My degree is in finance. He has a master's in physics. He has been teaching physics for 21 years at a college in Dayton, Ohio. He was in the Marines and the Army, officer. Okay? And I'm no slouch. I've raised my daughter in a co-parenting relationship with her father here in Southern California, degreed in finance. I am the board treasurer for my church, which was founded by the late, great Della Reese. Okay, family? I formed the Friends of ADOS TV to continue to make the case because we needed more voices to help people in everybody's feed to understand what we're up against. We are in the fight of our lives to prevent extinction in the country our ancestors built with their lives. And the reparations, family, y'all can probably repeat it after me, is not just for slavery, but accrued, ongoing, systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. We've got 90% homeless here on Skid Row that are ADOS. 50% of ADOS homeless throughout the country. Of the homeless population, 50% of them are ADOS families. And I've always shared with you that of $107 trillion, white folks share $100 trillion. Out of $3 trillion is all we share amongst the Blacks who built all of the wealth you see around you. 10% of Blacks share $2.3 trillion. 90% of us share $700 billion. That means many of us are one paycheck away from being homeless. If we have a major illness, you can become homeless. If you lose your job and don't find one in enough time to pay your mortgage or your rent, you can become homeless. It is no joke that the government is setting us up to eat slavery while they replace us. Because out of 100% of Blacks in this country, 90% are ADOS, who are sharing $700 billion. 10% are Black immigrants, who usually descend from slave traders. They come over here with wealth, check the box for African American, and get our entitlements, and there's no more room. No more room. Once those slots are filled by the ones that come from advantage, you already see Trump turning away those that don't have money. They're not getting in this country. They can't get in here. Just ask Haiti. Just ask the recent travel ban to, I think, 7 countries over in Africa. They can come and visit, but they cannot stay. So we formed this SuperPAC, and the idea was to aggregate our dollars as we grow this movement. We're no slouch, family. And before we could even put the board in place, which is still being established by some of the best minds in this movement all over the country, we've got 32 chapters, 32 states are involved in this movement. Before any of that could happen, folks started giving to the SuperPAC. Giving. Now, let me help you understand about the SuperPAC. Marlon Aldridge and I are going to do a show with more details because he's the academician. He can speak a lot more theoretical about this. I'm the around the way girl, and I just give it to you straight, no chaser. The SuperPAC doesn't allow us to support individual candidates like a PAC would. But that super PAC will enable us to run ads and do mailers, ads on radio and television to compete with the DNC for the moderate conservative candidates that they're sinking money into. Let me give you an example. In Georgia, many of you already know the amazing, incredible, beautiful, inside and out Tamara Johnson Shealy. She decided, I'm not going to run local. I'm going to run for the U.S. Senate seat. Well, the DNC, whom we've been voting for like mules for 60 years, is not a fan of Tamara's. Why do you think that is, family? Because she is full-chested about ADOS and those reparations and a Black agenda, which is who we need in Congress to get any of this done. Don't you ever think that being on social media and just doing shows about how destitute our situation is going to get us reparations and a Black agenda. We've got to finance our politics like everybody else. This ain't gonna be free, okay? She's down there running. The DNC is fully aware, and they are pushing back, and they go and they find Minister Warnock, whom Stacey Abrams endorsed. And they ran a beautiful, what felt like 5-minute ad introducing Mr. Warnock. They're raising money for Minister Warnock. While little Tamara Shealy, not so little, the grand diva of the ADOS movement, putting in that work, has to struggle to raise money for her campaign. Because why? My little small recurring payments to her campaign is not enough. Your little small dollars are not enough. But collectively, if we did $30 a year towards a membership akin to the NAACP and the National Urban League, which are, I think the National Urban League is $100 a year, all backed by white capital. They don't give a rip about the 90% of us. They are amongst the $2.3 trillion, family. And guess what it takes to be in the top 10%? About $150,000 a year. The top 5%, $350,000 a year. For the $3 trillion that we share. It's criminal. And so she is up against the Democratic Party, and we are sitting up here acting as if we don't have the money to pay for our super PAC so that we can fill that Congress. 25% in the House of Reps, 25% in the Senate. That's what we're doing with this super PAC. For those who've got questions. And there's a ton of oversight, family. Let me back up. So we're supporting the candidates like Tamara Johnson Shealy, who's coming to take that Congress, so that we can have people in position to cut these checks and to get us everything else under ADOS101.com. That's who we're supporting. And we're attacking candidates and elected officials that are in the way through television and radio ads and mailers. Now, if anybody else in the chat can tell me something else that we could be doing to get our candidates elected, our ADOS candidates speaking from the chest about our reparations and the Black agenda, I'm open. But please don't undermine what we're putting into position without a solution. Don't come for us. Because let me help you understand something, family. I'm in this work for ADOS. And this super PAC will go on with or without the movement. I prefer with the movement. I prefer to do as we've been planning right now, to make board members of the powerhouses throughout this country that run their chapters. Because it'd be nice to have a base where we can draw those resources and have that beautiful board vote on where those ad dollars go on the federal, state, and local levels. But don't think Angela Nirvana is going to lay down on the vision for a very robust super PAC, because I understand the stakes are high. I got a daughter to lead this thing here too. I'm fighting for me, my daughter, your daughters and sons. That's why I fight. And so I needed you guys to understand that Marlon and I are managing the super PAC, but it's not without a ton of oversight. We're registered with the feds. This is not something you can just sign a little piece of paper. You got to pay to get yourself established as a super PAC. You got to put a board in place. Marlon and I have no votes on this board. We don't decide how the board is ran. Okay? We don't decide where the money goes. I have to report every month about what comes in and what goes out every month. This movement is my second job. I don't get paid to do this work, just like the rest of ADOS slinging bricks all over the country. This is their second, third job. We take cat naps. So, we don't get reparations until we have a Congress that's speaking full-chested about it. Social media is not enough. We need your support. You don't have to be in the movement to support. We take support from members and non-members, but the board is deciding how all of this is rolled out to their respective state and local chapters. That's not my decision. We've got quite a few applications out. We've got some that have come in, and we hope to have that board installed within a week to two. I still got about 16 emails I've got to put out tonight for other representatives throughout the country to invite them on to a briefing. I've invited Antonio on to the briefing. I have nothing to hide. Not only am I the board treasurer for my church, I'm a licensed teacher. And God told me, this is my purpose, that God in me. Okay? I'm a New Thought Christian. We believe you and the Father are as much one as Jesus and the Father. That's what he came to show us. You are made in the image and likeness of God. So I trust what I've been told, and I trust the people I've aligned myself with until they prove themselves to be untrustworthy. And I'm prayerful that after 4 months of watching me do this every Saturday on my own dime, I pay for all of this, that you've come to understand who I am, how I'm wired, and that I love ADOS Black and strong. I am forever in an ADOS state of mind because I understand how we got here. And I'm up against a lot of people within the movement and outside the movement that are waiting for me to fail. They've blocked me several times in the Facebook space, in Facebook jail, having to rely on other ADOS to get the word out. But when me and God, the God in me, that goddess in me, decided to do this, they don't matter. They roll off my back like water off a duck. I'm here for the people. What are you here for? Ask yourself, am I an agent of chaos or am I picking up a brick? Am I getting politically educated? Am I asking questions? Am I joining calls when I'm invited so I can have an understanding? That's pretty much it, family. I had to come on here because it disturbed me. It disturbed me in the seat of my soul that people think wealth is synonymous with our ability to pay for our own super PAC. $30 a year, whatever the board decides. That's just a number that we came up with based on the NAACP model. What's that? $6 a month? I don't even know. I don't even know. Is it? No, it's less. We are not all poor. We are not all destitute. We're not all on Skid Row. I respect the data, but thank God I'm not living the data. And guess what? The majority of the people doing the work in this movement are educated or very experienced. That's who took it upon themselves to be the solution. Do not underestimate me or my colleagues in this movement. We are serious. We are here to speak and act for the less of us. And we do it till we drop with our own money. And if I can support all the candidates, not all of them, some of them monthly, recurring, if I can support Yvette Carnell, monthly recurring, I'm a recurring patron of the Friends of ADOS Super PAC. Recurring. And I give to Tone on occasion in the super chat. That's the elk I'm working with. That's the brass in the ADOS movement. And we need to leverage and aggregate dollars and people. I think Marlon did a number. We build this movement 2 million strong, $30 per member. You're talking $60 million. Do you think the Democrats will pay attention to us then, family? Because they sure don't care right now. They are of the mindset that we have to make them. And politicians respond to dollars and pressure, not applause. Let me go to the chat. I see it's very busy. Before I go to the chat, support the Friends of ADOS Super PAC. Trust me, family. I love you black. I love you strong. Support Tamara Johnson Shealy. She's our hope right now to upset Georgia. If you can't give money, do like me. Phone bank, get a script from her. She's signing up volunteers. Canvas if you're in Georgia for her. Give what you can. But understand, none of this gets done without money. All we're doing is just making noise, wailing, and gnashing our teeth. Let me go to the chat. I won't be able to see all of your comments. Thank you, Jamar, for being on the live. Thank you, Albadi, for being on the live. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Don. Don says, ignore the drama. I know. We love you, Angela. Boy. I love you, Black. I love you, Strong. You guys know this. I am so blessed to be amongst you. Y'all my tribe. I got my spiritual tribe and I got my ADOS tribe, which is spiritual. We're on a spiritual journey, family. Our ancestors need us to do this. They need us to be strong and courageous. And I'm new to this. So I'm a bit of a crybaby because I just thought, let me focus on myself. I'll be a credit to the race. But white supremacy is bigger, and God has called me to do a greater work. And I thank y'all for riding with me. I thank you for your love. It lifts me. It holds me accountable. And it helps me to continue to fight. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your love and your support. The whole point is to become political. That means forming PACs, absolutely. There's a difference. There are PACs that support the candidate and put money in their pockets directly, but we decided on a SuperPAC because it takes the limits off. We can raise as much money as we want with very few exceptions of who we can raise it from. And we're going for broke. That's why we formed the SuperPAC. Marlon will be on the show on the 15th, and we'll drill down a little bit more. You hear the word SuperPAC every 4 years. Why shouldn't ADOS form it? Thank you, Albadi. Dawn says it's always the ones sitting on the sidelines, sucking their teeth and commenting. Angela, everyone isn't at the same level. Just move out of our way. Thank you, Dawn. Albadi says, Tamara Johnson Sheely, where you at, sis? She's somewhere making it happen out of $1.15. She's in school, getting her law degree, putting in work for ADOS. She love us Black, she love us strong. Lisa, how many of you have had your eyes wide open dealing with your local politics? The Democrats are just as dirty as the Republicans. Thank you, Lisa. Todd? T-A-H-D. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. She's absolutely right. We've got the beautiful Tara Perry from ADOS SoCal running for City Council in District 8. But Marquise Harris Dawson has the support of the DNC and Karen Bass. Where's her money, family? That's why I was bringing her on the show, to help her raise money. She'll be here this week. We need a war chest. The stakes are high. Don't frustrate yourself, sis. Only 144K moving on. Thank you, our body. All roads lead to God. All right. I respect. Okay, I'm scrolling down. I'll definitely support. Thank you, Lisa. They love the monies in Yvette's voice. Money talks, baby. The rest of it is just righteous outrage. Self-care, fam. Self-care. Yeah, all of that. Well, family, that's all of the comments I can see on this side. And when I try to do Facebook on here too, there's an echo, so I had to shut that down. I'll make a live watch party of this. I want you guys to please share this. Understand I'm going to defend what I'm doing. Folks are like, why bother? Just keep moving. No, I can't do that because this work is too important. And I've got a platform, and I'm going to defend the work of myself and all of the chapters that are doing this righteous work without, a lot of us don't even get name recognized, free of charge, burning the midnight oil. Join me tomorrow night for a special edition with the one, the only, incomparable Ted Hayes, civil rights activist, 35-year homeless advocate here in Los Angeles. He's got some things to share with us about FEMA and the National Guard coming down to Skid Row to move our 90% homeless ADOS into concentration camps. It's real out here, family. And we are working with Ted to stop all of that. He is working with the ADOS SoCal movement. You can get familiar with his work about these illegal immigrants taking up too much space down here and sucking the life out of ADOS. We are now 6%, down from 15%, and being driven out daily, either driven to homelessness or driven out altogether. So he will be here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I do hope you join us and do share it. It is going to be a rich conversation beyond. Thank you so much, family, for joining the live. This is a part where I pray and give us a covering. And if you don't believe in prayer, it's fine. You can be atheist. I don't care who you are. You are the face of God to me. You are the hands and the feet of God, because you and God are one. It is the spiritual essence of who you are before you were flesh. That's my approach to Christianity. So if you have a different understanding and you would choose to depart off the live, I bid you a God-inspired rest of your evening. For those of you who would like just a little bit of prayer, just settle yourselves, and you can repeat after me or within you that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God is. Until tomorrow, family, know that if nobody's told you today that I love you black, I love you strong. ADOS, we are here. Peace, family.